This is your Lake of the Ozarks Upper Osage fishing report. Today is October 5, 2016. Since the last report we did, the lake level's done a little bit of changing. I think the last report I did a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, the lake was full or almost full. And since then, the lake has dropped about a foot to a foot and a half. Although because of the drop, fishing has actually gotten better. Water conditions in the Upper Osage, when you get out on the main channel, water's a little dingy, a little dirty. When you get back into the creeks, some of the creeks are a little bit clearer. Some of them are still a little dirty, but the water color is really good as far as for fishing and catching fish shallow. Lake level's about a foot and a half, almost 2 feet below summer pool. So they have dropped the lake, but it's actually, in my opinion, in the upper area of the lake, it's kind of helped the bite a little bit. We've got a lot more visible shad in the back of the creeks and in the back of the main lake pockets, and I'm starting to see shad and the bass move back onto the main lake flats. I think with the hot weather that we had a couple weeks ago, it kind of put the fish back in a summer pattern. Now since we've had some cool nights, it's kind of accelerated that fall pattern back to where we were before we had all the weather changes there at the middle part of September. Right now, on the upper part of the lake in the fall right now, you could throw any lure in your tackle box and catch fish right now. Fish are shallow, they're scattered, but if you get around a group of shad that are active, you can catch, fish in bunches. So what I like to do is, if I see shad in the back of the creeks or the back of the main lake pockets, I like to throw jigs. There's a jig head, and I've showed you before the D-bomb on it. I throw a crocodigator jig with a crawl trailer on it. You can still throw the big worms on tough conditions, tough bites, high sky, really sunny days. The shaky head with a magnum zoom trick worm is a really good choice. My bait of choice when the conditions get tough and the bite gets really light, I like to go to the tube that I've showed you before that does not have a weed guard on it. You can buy the heads that have the little wire weed guard, but I like to just throw the bare tube. Seems like you can pick up those real light biters, a lot easier than you can if you got a jig and you got to set the hook on those kinds of fish. So that's kind of what we're doing in the back of the creeks right now. I'm going in the back of the creeks in the mornings, throwing top waters. It's a whopper plopper. This is the big size. Really good bait. You can, if the big one throws a long ways, you can wind it and stop it, wind it and stop it. Very, very easy to fish, the whopper plopper is, and it comes in 2 or 3 sizes. So the big size is really good for the largemouth. And then of course you can never go wrong with a buzz bait. I prefer the crocodigator head knocker because the flat head, this bait seems to get up on the surface and stay on the surface just a lot easier. But you could go in the back of these creeks when the fish are rowing. You could throw square bill crankbaits, you could throw swim baits, you could throw spinner baits. Chatterbait's a good bait to throw back there. Chatterbait is one of the baits it may have caught the big fish in the Big Bass Bash last weekend. If it didn't, I think it was in one of the top 2 or 3 fish there. And when I throw a chatterbait, I like to put a zoom paddle tail swim bait on it as a trailer, and then I put a trailer hook attached to the main hook right over top of that. It doesn't really seem to kill the action, and a lot of those fish that are chasing shad in the back of these creeks or on these flats, if you don't get them on the main hook, you can usually get them on the trailer hook. But chatterbait's an excellent bait to throw. You can cover a lot of ground, cover a lot of water with this bait, so it's a really good bait to throw. Like I said, you can throw about anything you want to throw right now. Most of the fish we're catching are up shallow, within 3 feet. We're pitching inside and on the outsides and in the holes in the docks catching fish. We're going to the back of the creeks and in the back of the main lake pockets. We're catching fish on the just isolated logs in the docks back there. I have talked to some guys that are still catching some fish fairly deep, 10, 12 foot deep on deep running crankbaits and football jigs. So it's a really good time of year to come up and fish the Upper Osage right now. Watercolor's really good shape right now. It's got that good green color to it, but it's not too clear to fish. And this water in these conditions should stay pretty much at this this rate until we get either some major wind or major weather changes, or until we get the fall turnover, which I suggest is probably going to happen probably within the next 3 or 4 weeks here in the upper part. Water temperature right now, this morning when I first put the boat in the water, was about 70 degrees. Didn't get a lot warmer than that today as we fished, so I didn't look at the temperature gauge when I came off the water. But you know, so we're hovering around there. So we get down in the low 60s, around 60. We get some, and we do have some cold weather coming in. It's going to drop that water temperature more, and then we'll get the turnover. And then when the turnover happens, you know, anybody's guess as good as anybody else's. What I like to do is go to the back of the creeks. I like to fish shallow. Some guys can run up the lake where the lake has already turned over and got back to normal, or they run down the lake and they get ahead of the turnover. You know, you just go fishing is what I say. And then after the turnover is over, get that cool weather that sets up that late fall, early winter bite where the topwater bite turns on, and then if they drop the lake a little bit, it pulls those fish back on the creek channels, and the jig bite gets really good up here in the upper Osage in November and December. So that's the conditions right now in the upper Osage. Good luck in your fishing. I know some of you have some season-ending club tournaments, championships. Good luck with your fishing on those. Like I said, we're catching fish shallow, main lakes, backs of creeks, and you can also catch fish right now on the Bluff End docks. Catch some pretty nice Kentuckys out there. So good luck in your fishing. Have fun, and always wear your life jacket. Be safe. Thanks.